My last video was an April Fool's joke. This one isn't. I anticipated this snow coming through, watching the forecast and such. But it looks like we're in for some cold weather, some very heavy snow over the next couple days, next couple of nights, minus 15s. So we have definitely swung into a shutdown for all types of bee work. I had mentioned earlier that I was considering not feeding patties to my colonies. I guess I was feeling a little optimistic on the weather ahead of us, but I've completely changed my tone on that now. As soon as we get a chance to get around, we're going to start dropping patties on these colonies just to make sure that they have the resource they need to be able to build and develop out their colonies. I didn't have time to drop patties on our first time around. We had to get through quick to assess for colony weight and emergency feed. And we just got that done before this cold weather come through. So at least everything has enough honey on. I had to at least drop honey frames into 10%, 15% of my colonies, which desperately needed it, especially the big ones. So that was a very important job to be done. We didn't have time to drop patties anyway. So this next round, as soon as we get back into these hives, which looks like it's going to be about a week or so, we're going to drop patties, we're going to drop strips, and we're going to feed if we don't have the feed pails on by then already. So a little bit of a shutdown. At least I was able to get my colonies out, and I was able to allow them flight for 3 or 4 days. I was able to emergency feed and assess my stock to see whereabouts I was at. I think I'll try my best not to worry too much about this cold, snowy weather coming through, because all the colonies are in a nice sheltered yard, tucked away. We didn't really open up too many of them, so they're nice and sealed up. They have all the food they need, and the clusters are adequate. So we'll just spend this next week mixing and cutting patties, scraping up equipment, cleaning up equipment, and just trying our best not to fuss about this weather. So, how are you making out?
Our stack of boxes that need to be repaired is here.
Those are boxes to be repaired,
Ones on the wall.
frames scraped up, and boxes to scrape and clean up from. These are the losses here from this year.
Yeah.
Those are this year's losses, and this is last fall's call out. And then we sort. How are you sorting them here? That's honey.
This is the honey, and these are empties, and that's pollen.
Those are empties, and those are pollen. And then we know what we have, so we can sort into the boxes and make up splits. So Carrie's having lots of fun today, but she could be outside in that. Well, the good thing is I was able to get through these colonies and make sure that they had enough food in there just to be able to sustain themselves. The bees have had 4 good days of flight, so that's another positive. It's really important for them to get out and take that flight to be able to relieve themselves after a long winter, so it'll help kind of, hold them in the boxes with less stress. So definitely put at least a week delay on our work. It's kind of would have been nice if I would have had time or the ambition to have put patties on these colonies, but I don't think it was physically possible for me to be able to, or for Carrie and I to be able to get around all these colonies in the time we had to get them out. We pretty much had to focus on the essentials as emergency feeding and keeping them, the big ones, from starving. That's empty. Well, they've drank the pails down. Syrup feeders are done.